on Team Vertabreaker is a team that pretty much, for the most part, was put together. Actually, made it pretty far in our first judgment pool. The second team, Team Bischu, actually is comprised of most of a team that had actually won our first judgment pool. So they're looking at trying to go for their second back-to-back judgment pools here at EOS 2012. And we have a stellar matchup for us in the mid lane. Bischu versus Shorter Ace. Gonna be a killer one. I was just actually handed some sweet Razor gear to give away for these contestants, which they will be competing for. They will be competing for some sweet, sick prizes here at EOS 2012. Thanks to Razor. So right now, gold pretty even so far. Shorter Ace, very well known for his jungle play on the Lee Sin, going to be a very, very aggressive jungle. And Skarner, who we've seen a lot more of recently, simply because the fact of late game, you know, he gets that ult off, can actually tear your AD out of the team comp. Once they kill the AD, you're an AD up, they're an AD down, and you have a 4v5 hugely in your favor, especially in late game. But Intimate Bedtime is going to be a tough guy for the blue team to deal with, and Ezreal likewise is going to be very, very elusive with that Arcane Shift, hard to grab in there. But Skarner's going to do his best to make a play. And Texi on his Yorick, this is what he likes to do. You're going to see him on Gragas, you're going to see him on Yorick. If you give him this Yorick, he is one of the best Yorick players. He's had so many ranked games as Yorick players. He's basically the Zackers of Yorick, if you will. Very, very solid, well known for it. And if you have, you know, if you trust your AD carry, like they do Intimate Bedtime, who is a staple, one of the MVPs actually of the first judgment pool, then Yorick is a great pick. I mean, getting a ghost of another ghost of your AD is a really solid thing to do, especially with a fed AD carry. It's going to be really, really tough for the blue team to deal with them later on in team fights. I'm interested to see what the blue team decides to do to try to deal with this. I think that, I mean, obviously they're a high mobility team, save for Darius right now. They're very much based around mobility. And Intimate Bedtime's actually in a lot of trouble. Tank that stuff doing a lot of work. Gets exhausted, tries to keep him alive. Ignite going down, and they're actually going to let him go. It looks like Tank that stuff is going to live, and now he's actually refocused back onto Sky King. That was really, really close. Sky King coming back in. Once he gets the shadow, once he gets the kill, he will get the kill. And the turn coming in, and he's going to get a double kill. Supports can do work. Sky King laying it down. That was some sick action right there from him. Oh man, and we are early on. That was just one of those wah moments. Oh my gosh, a little too aggressive. Got in there, took some turret hits, especially this early in the game. Those things hurt bad. But Bischu's going to actually be key to watch. He's at 48 CS versus Kennan's 40, so he's not super far ahead. But if he can get farmed enough and get out of lane, that'll be a big thing for their team, because that's what they really want to do. They want to unlock Bischu out of that mid lane, get him pushing, get him rotating, and get some ganks off. And it looks like he might be on a rotation now. He's actually just going to farm the Wraith camp. But if they can get him out of lane, pick up some kills, snowball hard, that's what you want to do. Bischu actually recently had a game in a ranked game. I think he went like 38 and like 2 or something ridiculous like that. He's a very, very good Katarina player. And Judgment Pool, you know, it's really open because these teams, in case anybody that doesn't know is tuning in, Judgment, the way it works, we get 8 captains, they pick teams, it's like snake draft order, kind of like fantasy football or a game of kickball out on the playground. They form up 8 5-man teams, and they get put into a best-of-1 tournament bracket, and they play it out for RP. But at EOS 2012, we actually modified it a little bit. So what we did is we tweaked that format, so it's almost like improved solo queue. Not only do you have a team that you can communicate with, and you're in a live thing, which is pretty cool, but you can also partner with a buddy. So you can almost do duo queue. So you can come here with your buddy, make sure you're on the same team, versus the other format where you might get picked on different teams. This way you get to make sure, hey, at least I come with a friend, and then we ran an algorithm which based it off of roles played and your elo, and then busted out these teams right here. We've had a lot of even matches. These semifinal matches have been absolutely crazy so far in this game. And this is just another one. We already finished off the last one off stream, but here we go. Flashes to get out of it. I got the clap. Running from Genzi. Genzi really wanted that one. He has hit level 6. He does have the ability to pull people in, make some plays on the battlefield. Looking so far, the only problem for the red team is a lot of their kills are actually situated onto their support, because he was able to pull that off. Now, the support, what he wants to do with that gold is obviously it feels really good. He's bought up some wards, bought a gold per 10 item. Looks like he's starting another one. But whenever you get a big boon like that, it's not a bad idea to look toward trying to get into oracles at some point. And early oracles can actually be really, really stellar for your team if you feel like you have a strength in the lane. I think they're a little bit hesitant because Graves actually is already down a kill and Ezreal's actually pretty fed up. Ezreal actually not arguably ahead item build wise. I mean, Graves has farmed a lot better, and currently he actually has the boots 2 up on his opponent. So actually they are ahead in lane. So if they really wanted to, and he could get an Oracle, so you go into the Tri-Brush, open up some ganks for Skarner, who is level 6, who could come up and disrupt the enemy team and snowball the spawn lane even harder. And Intimate Bedtime and Sky King, they are one of those duo queue partners that I talked about before. They play really, really well together. Here's the burst damage coming in. Cleanse actually popped, but it's actually late. He takes a lot of the damage up front before he's even able to react. A flash in, ult comes in, the Ignite isn't going to be enough. It is going to be enough. And there you go. There's that advantage. Third Oracle on top of that. There's no vision down here. And Shorter Ace might get blown up here. Actually kicks Tark, which is not what he wanted to do. Teleport coming down in here. What are we going to have here? Darius is in the action. He's going to suck him back. Definitely here. Willy, he's not actually going to do it. And oh my gosh, Intimate Bedtime trying to put out as much damage as he could to support his teammate. But it's not going to happen. Sky King's going to fall as well. Vertabreaker, great play right there. Coming down, turning that team fight. Because I think Shorter Ace actually would have went down there. And that is the key for Texi to actually push like a madman as best he can. But Blue might be able to pick off a dragon out of this, which is that actually a good play. You know, it's kind of worth it if they can pick up this dragon, but it's going to have to be the dragon because Texi's actually going to put a lot of damage on this turret and do some work. If I look at Texi, it looks like he went a lot more aggressive in his build. He actually did take a teleport. We've seen a lot of teleport at EOS and a lot of those rotational plays. I actually really, really like it, especially in teams like this. Like, these are not pre-made 5 teams. If they were, teleport can be pretty effective, but in this case, when you don't quite have the full communication that you would if with a practice team, I mean, these are all pretty good players, but the fact of the matter is that your communication, your awareness is going to be a little bit off for some of these lanes, and you might get picked up. And now Texi actually popping his ult, expecting Marnold, aka No Heals for You, to actually commit, and he is not going to do it. And Texi just going to beat feet, probably back off out of this since he is pretty low here in this top lane. Looking at wards, there's a ton of wards in this bottom lane. So they have that on lockdown. There's even a forward ward at the red-blue buff, which I actually like the fact that they were able to sneak in one of those there. It looks like Texas actually just staying in lane, farming off these creeps. And Darius actually running to mid lane. They're just not worrying about Texas. They do not care about that part of the lane. It looks like Kennen was maybe going to, they were maybe going to lane swap or something, and Kennen looks like he's coming back down. Darius looks like he's rotating back down. Maybe they want to actually make another play in this bottom lane. I don't know if that's the best move. Darius now rotating up towards this Katarina. Bischu being very cautious here, actually. And I don't necessarily like this Darius play. I don't know what he's doing because there's no buffs down here. He's rotating, trying to make plays, but he's really just wasting time. Like, Texi is free farming like a madman right now. Although he's still only, actually after all that, he's still only about 8 CS ahead of his opponent. And Darius is going to want to have to get up. Is going to want to have to get up there before he. But oh my gosh, will we see a move? There's the stun. Cleanse is not back up yet. He's going to arcane shift out of this, lose half his life. Yet again, absolute 0 going off. It looks like it's not going to be enough Scarage coming in. Lee Sin coming up, trying to make some plays as well. Vertabreaker trying to just, he can do a lot of damage. Really, really quickly if Texi's not careful. So Texi, respecting this, knows what he's dealing with. Backing off a little bit, gonna maybe think about farming up some golems. Shorter Ace rotating through the enemy's jungle. I think he feels like he's pretty far ahead and pretty safe because that was the only reason you would want to do this. But Texi actually checking just because he has this ward here to catch out some movements. And Lee Sin trying to make a play on Bischu. Bischu very much aware of it. And actually here we have Vertabreaker actually taking these golems as well, and Texi just content to actually farm this lane up. Has this mana immune now, so he's just, I mean, that's Texi's game. He's going to farm up until his team needs him. Then he's going to come in and buff Intimate Bedtime. Intimate Bedtime right now, just barely ahead of his opponent, but Ezreal actually has a BF sword on him. He went straight up BF sword, passed up those boots too, and is going for that beastly damage actually right now. And Skyking, they're setting this up over and over again. It's pretty ridiculous. And the burst damage, he loses over half his health every time. Collateral damage not actually landing onto Tank That stuff, so Tank That stuff's going to be able to get this, but they're bowling this lane so well. That patience just waiting for the dazzle, that combo, so deadly, so overplayed actually at this point. If you played a lot of solo queue, you've seen this lane way too much recently, and even in competitive play we see, because Gray's still really good, Tark really good in lane. After laning phase though, he gets a little bit weaker because he's basically just a stun bot. But in the laning phase, he's so hard to deal with, especially with a non-sustain champion like Nunu, who might be a little bit better for his champion in the later game, just means lane dominance for you. And he's actually able to farm back up some life, heal back up, and now he's actually going to go back. And it looks like Intimate Bedtime will go back, probably going to continue the arms race and buy up his own BF sword, I would have to imagine. Yep, and there it is, and he is still actually ahead of his opponent once he gets back to lane. I think Bischu knows that Ken's a little bit too elusive of him. I'd like to see him get out on the map, but Blues has actually done a good job of actually warding up here at a lot of the paths that Bischu would want to take to try to make a play, although it looks like a lot of those wards are going to fade very, very shortly. I think one of these teams needs to actually invest in Oracle, start opening up this game if they realize how much warding is actually going on. But sometimes when you're in the middle of the game, you don't quite know. You have to have a lot of map awareness and pay attention to your opponent's reads to actually figure out where their wards are when you do rotate on lane. It takes some time, but you buy information for that time. And in comes Darius, wants to land this Texi, trying to run for his life, but he will get picked up. And Vertabreaker unrelenting on Darius right now, but Skarner coming up around on the backside. Katarina hasn't rotated up there. He's actually going to meet Kennen, going to go in there, try to get off. Stun will go off right away. Ignite coming in. Kennen running for his life, but I think Skarner might pull this off, but Skarner not coming around in time. Will he be able to make this happen? He's trying to get that slow off. He's pulling Vertabreaker in. Does he have any support? I think we might see Bischu come in here and try to finish this off, but I think they're not going to do it. And no heals for you, actually picking a good place to back, and there he's going to be safe. Good little scuffle in the jungle. Definitely Vertabreaker coming out ahead on this, able to take down Texi right away. But meanwhile, we have a big, huge skirmish in the bottom lane. Intimate Bedtime trying to get this kill up. He's not going to be able to do it. Great safeguard by Shorter Ace. And right now, it looks like Team Tank that stuff, or Vertabreaker doing some work. So again, this is EOS 2012, the Judgment Semifinals, Pool 2. So the top 4 teams of this bracket, which will be these 2 teams plus the other 2 teams that have already qualified, will be put into the online captains draft that we will run with extra prizes and stuff like that, sponsored by EOS, which should be a lot of fun for those contestants. So we've actually been running 2 judgments, typically like our online judgments, but in this case we're actually changing it a little bit so that these people get rewarded. There's a little bit of a qualification in there. You can get some extra prizes and stuff out of it for your money. So definitely free judgments are always awesome, especially with extra prizes that we have from Razor, Alienware, Kingston, all the cool guys that are coming out here supporting esports, local esports more importantly. I mean, can't stress how important it is to actually have sponsors that actually care about the local scene, the esports, the 99.9%, not that 0.1% at the top level. See, this is where the Oracles comes in, where you feel stupid when you realize you're just standing on the enemy's board. And you have to, this is one of those information moments where you have to go to your team and be like, hey, guys, we're probably standing on a ward. There's no way. That Sonic Wave definitely gives it away. I mean, this is that's a common ward spot too. I would have to expect that Sonic Wave coming in, it's actually going to land onto Intimate Bedtime. And York actually getting a lot of harass off of those ghouls. I like that play right there by him. Texi playing it well. And there you have it. Oracles from Vertabreaker. He's so far ahead. He invests some of that gold on his team, and that's good. That's actually huge for his team. So Red's going to fight over this. I have to believe. They have no vision, so they're going to have to go on gut instinct, but they've already given up Dragon. Oh, Billy. Blue team rotating around. They might try to catch. There might be a fight at Turbo. Red pushing for this really, really hard. And it looks like they should be able to take down this turret before Blue is able to respond.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
And one thing that I've seen, at least from Intimate Bedtime and this Texi Sky King so far in these tournaments, is just they definitely rely on each other. They trust each other to make the plays. There's no hesitation from them, and basically trusting that their opponents are actually their teammates are gonna do the right plays for them, and they don't have to overdo things. Blow cooldowns when they don't have to, blow flashes. They know that their teammate's gonna protect them, and those little things add up and really help a team succeed. And at least in this case, It's been working out for him, but Vertabreaker in that top lane has been doing some work, as well as Lee Sin. It's been shorter ace, it's been all over the map, and that's what Lee Sin has to do. And the thing about the blue team is they're actually really going to have to put a lot of effort in taking this early advantage that they have worked up and just keep using that, because they need to get through. They need to stay out of the late game right now, because they have a few champions that just don't quite work as well in the late game. Lee Sin falls off. And then, Kennen, arguably, like he has like a really strong mid game. Like this is kind of his heyday right here as we're getting into it. But then after that late game, he cannot do. He can kind of get negated on his damage a little bit. People get a little bit more tankier. He's not as hard to deal with, especially if you have an exhaust on your team. You can exhaust him and get a lot of that damage, ineffectiveness. And look at the rest of the team. Ezreal, of course, too. He's been very strong. We've seen him played quite a bit. But at the same time, I think that Graves with a Yorick ult on him, a little bit stronger for their team comp. And the late game, of course, again, we have that Skarner for that late game team fights, which, that can just win a game. If you're in a stalemate and Skarner gets a pull and you get the kill, breaks the game wide open. It's going to be really on to tank that stuff to make sure he doesn't get caught. If tank that stuff gets caught in these later games by Skarner, it's going to be all sorts of trouble for his team. So looking at the state of the game right now, if you look at warding, blue actually has a lot of wards around Dragon. Red just the middle brush. So Baron actually hasn't been warded up quite a bit. This top jungle is kind of a mystery to both teams. They don't have a lot of information on it. So there could be some plays up there and to possibly take that top turret. It's a pretty safe place to play. But these teams have basically forgot about, like, if you look at it, there's 2 turrets down. The red team's taking down 2 turrets in the mid and top. But blue is yet to take a turret, and that is kind of the problem I feel for them. They have this huge poke mobility team. They want to stay away. They definitely want to stay away, but I don't know if they're going to be able to take down these turrets. They need pickoffs, but I don't know if they have the team comp to quite crack the shell of this red team. So it's going to be kind of interesting. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how this finally plays out, how both teams play out. But if I had to side with one team, I'm putting my money definitely on Team Bischu at the current moment.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
Pressing in home. The other problem that I see here too is if you look at blue team, they have no clearing power. So the problem becomes for them is that if they get pressed on, they have a lot of poke, but they don't have a way to clear the waves. So red can actually push in and deal a lot of damage to turrets, push that off. And Vertabreaker having to split push now, he's actually drawing a lot of attention from the red team. Red team trying to collapse on him, but that is actually some smart play by him. He's actually pressuring that second turret, making them have to get rid of it, and he actually clear out the wards as he runs around the jungle. So red has to decide between, hey, do we want to protect our mid turret, or do we want to have to deal with Vertabreaker, who has this top lane constantly pushing and can come up and do a lot of damage to a turret if they don't want to worry about him. And meanwhile, blue team just can't be engaged on. They're too mobile, and they can just keep poking. So this is kind of the key for them if they want to try to start breaking down turrets, is to actually have some sort of split pushing action, rely on their poke, and trust their teammates that they're not going to get caught. Because if one of their teammates gets caught, it starts the domino effect. And without that, all the composition of their poke team, they become a lot weaker. So waiting for Texi rotating down around here. They're heading towards the dragon buff. I imagine they probably have... they didn't see it, but they probably had a good guess on the timer, so I imagine they will be there for the next one if they want to be. But again, still no words up on Baron, and I know it's 25 minutes in, but that's still scary proposition, especially with a Nunu on the enemy team. Baron could go really quickly with no vision on it and no control. And they actually have no vision on this top side of this jungle anymore for their team. So it's a little bit of a worry for me for the red team. But I think they'll know. They've been keeping tabs on them. They've actually been able to see blue when they're in lane. I'd be interested to ask these teams. They have so much warding around this middle jungle, and they've all decided to kind of play mid. It's almost like they've decided to play like an Aram, sort of. Like they've gone to the sidelines at times, but for the most part, right now it's just like all push mid. Texi doing some good with his goals. Obviously, you can tell he's a very solid player just because he always gets his enemy team in those AoEs. from his ghouls and knows the ranges really, really well and able to dodge a lot of this poke. That's the hard thing to do, to get in there and lay off the ghouls and not take any damage from all the poke damage that can come out of here between Sonic Wave, Mystic Shot, and all that stuff. Here we go. We have the pressure coming in here right now. Ooh, Billy. Vertabreaker. Leading the charge here for his team. He got his Oracle for his team, but now they're just pressing down there, trying to use that poke as much as possible. And they're there. They're able to pick up the turret, and that's what they're going to do. They're just going to play this attrition game, try to rotate around. Now they're going to try to go for Dragon, but I don't think Red Team's actually going to respond to this in time. And Ward's going down. Vertabreaker trying to clear out wards to make sure it's completely safe for his team. This team's able to pick it off. And they're just going to pick up another ward as well. Looks like he's not using attack move. I would necessarily say for players that are, when you are searching for wards, attack move, just do it. You'll clear out the wards. You won't miss wards a lot of times. I've seen a lot of players miss wards, especially on this tournament. Pulls the buff over the wall almost like a mini Blitzcrank. And they're able to take the blue buff, give it to tank that stuff. Tank that stuff's going to be able to get his cooldowns a lot lower. He's going to be able to spam a lot more for his team. This is definitely a good thing for him right now. Ooh, they're trying to track down Bischu right now. Bischu running for his life. Doing some work, and now Blue with the advantage. They just really have a good advantage in roam on the map. They're playing really cohesively. There's something, you know, you wouldn't completely expect from a team, you know, that's kind of thrown together in a judgment format like this. They're playing this really, really well. It's a harder comp to play. A lot of teams, when they get in snares like this, they just go AoE comp. It's easier to coordinate. It's more efficient. You know, the concept's a lot more understandable. But these players have actually put together a pretty good poke comp, and they're playing it decently enough against a really strong team. I mean, if anybody hasn't looked up VVV Bischu at this point, VVV Bischu is a 2600 player. He's actually in the top 10, I believe, currently.
Street Fighter top 8 players should now be in the main hall. Street Fighter top 8 players, please report to the stage. Street Fighter top 8 players, please report to the stage, please. Street Fighter top 8 players. Jason Afro. Oh.
Sorry about that. So coming back in here, looks like they have an engagement on the red team. They've come behind. They've actually blown up Texi right away, but he still has a ghost. Looks like Kenneth's ult's going to go off. He's going to get full duration here. Genzi trying to get to Tank stuff, but Tank stuff, great spacing right there. The absolute zero fully going off. This is a complete rout for the blue team, and they're going to punish here. They have to punish here. This is what they got to do. They have multiple members down for 35 seconds. Should be able to clear out an outer turret and a base turret and be able to start to really do some work for their enemy team right now. Using that bubble to try to get some damage. Vertabreaker might try to tank some of this for him. I've got the Clavis taking way too much damage from that turret so far. They really want to get a second turret if they can, but looking at it right now, Texi's going to be back up here in 2 seconds. The rest of the team, 4 seconds, but there's no real big damage dealers, but they're good harassing. The fact that blue is low actually might give them a chance to take this, and they will get the turret. So they've actually cracked a turret. Great play by there, coming from behind Texi, using that vision control that they do have, and just playing this game really, really solidly. I mean, right now, Sid getting a commanding 8K lead 30 minutes in, which isn't, you know, ridiculously huge and out of control, but it is very, very good. It looks like we do have a pause, so I'm just going to step up for a second, but as soon as we get started, when Short Ice comes back, I will be right back with you. So in case anybody doesn't know, Area of Defect, they will be launching their new album today on Boot Camp. We will give you that link soon, actually probably post on the channel soon, but after... at 5:30, they will be performing live, and we will be streaming their performance. So definitely come back to the twitch.tv/RazorWeapon channel. Check out all that action. We will have Area of Defect live. here at EOS 2012 at the Redline Hotel in Seattle.
Street Fighter, top 8 players. You guys should be very, very close to me at the stage. Anybody have the Street Fighter bracket with them? Somebody grab Duncan, please. I think he's probably on smoke break.
All right, so anybody that's excited about Area Defect knows their music. I'm actually going to play a new track for them, Still Up in the Jungle, the sequel to Up in the Jungle. Throw it down for you right now until we get this game started. You guys can listen to some cool music.
I'm the dark knight, the heroine the rift deserves. Too sexy, even my skill shots have curves. See the flash in the night of the moon, silver blade going 3 balls deep with my tail cascade. They couldn't break me, but I'm gonna break ya. Lunar rush on your team, collapsing like your trachea. Follow no false light, all you ignorant thralls. The moon also rises, but you're tripping when it
You
falls.
got the juice to run with the bulls. Spam taunt on the gang, I do it for lulz. Out the jungle with my combo, it's a guaranteed kill. Bruce Willis in the fight with my unbreakable will. I'm the herbivore with a roar that you can't ignore. My fist at the floor, keep tabs on the score. I don't gotta fear, but I'm Halloween scary. When you milk these, you get legendary.
Bump in the jungle beat, coming to catch you, better make your retreat. Baby, you're facing defeat. When you're up in the jungle, now you're up in the jungle. Headed for red and the blue. So many eyes staring, looking right through you. Stealing a baron or two. When you're up in the jungle, now you're up in the jungle.
Up to the rock, get a hard play shard of the monolith, shed rock, extra to my carapace, hop on the wall.